So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jada, and I was so lucky that I had the chance to go to Italy to visit my best friend who was living in Florence. But my fiance and I took a few days to go to Venice as well, and that's where I'm painting today, or where this video is from. One evening, it was pretty late and a little bit cold, but we decided to go to San Marcos Square so I could sketch and paint the Basilica. This is the largest painting that I completed while I was in Italy, and it's not my favorite. I prefer the three smaller paintings that I completed, but after this there is just one more video left of the paintings that I was able to complete while in Italy. Hopefully I'll be able to film like a small sketchbook tour, because I did take a small watercolor sketchbook with me, and I just want to finish up the paintings in those. I did a lot of rough sketches. But this was a complicated piece because architectural pieces are some of my favorite, but also getting such a detailed piece right is pretty complicated. But I did have fun with it, and you'll see here that I am painting in San Marcos Square. It was sunset, now it's pretty dark. But I like this painting because I like looking at the background of the video, because it's just so cool and it just reminds me of being there and the hustle and bustle. And you could actually hear the bands playing at the cafes. They would play like sets of instrumental music, classic and popular, and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty magical. So this is my second time in Venice, and the first time I was in Venice, I actually got to do this as well, to paint on San Marcos Square. But it was when I first started watercolor. So my first watercolor painting was completed when I was in Italy in 2011. So this was just a really sentimental throwback for me. It was nice being able to share that with my fiance and being able to just kind of hang out on San Marcos Square. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the art supplies that I use. I go into more detail when I actually talk about how I filled my palette for this trip, but that's a separate video. It's on this channel as well. So the watercolor I'm using is Winsor & Newton Professional watercolors, and I have gotten some new ones recently, and I was excited to be able to use them on this trip for the first time. Here we've changed to the locations to the train station, but I am using an aquash brush here. While I was in San Marcos Square, I was using a Winsor & Newton Cotton series brush for watercolor, and the paper I'm using is Arches, and it's the 9 by 12 size. And like I said, I did switch location to the train station. When I started this painting, it was our last night in Venice, so anything I didn't finish had to be finished later, and we ended up going back to our hotel because my hands were so cold. I was starting to not be able to feel holding my paintbrush. Italy is still pretty cold in April at night, especially when you're trying to do something detailed like painting. But I've painted in train stations across Europe. It's an interesting experience, I think, and of course this is when you get a lot of people coming up to you and like looking at what you're doing, because everybody's kind of bored and waiting for their train, and train stations just kind of on the whole don't have a lot of fantastic seating. And here we've changed locations once again. We're actually on the train, and that is our luggage that's sitting next to me and in front of me. This train didn't have traditional luggage racks. Usually they have one at either end of the train or above the seats, and this train did not. Luckily, it was not super crowded on the train because pretty much everybody was a tourist and had a ton of luggage. So we all have our luggage sitting next to us. But luckily this was a pretty smooth train ride. Some of them are really bumpy and it makes it hard to paint, but I had a pretty good bit of luck with this train ride and painting. So if you're wondering how I'm still managing to do this painting without actually being at San Marcos Square, it's because I did take a reference photo. It's on my phone. I don't have it pulled up right now, but sometimes like when I'm not able to finish a painting in one spot, I'll take reference photos and then I'll look at them on my phone or my computer, and then I'll be like, okay, I need to paint this, and then I'll set out with that gold, and then I'll just keep rechecking my reference photo. But additionally, I didn't want it super accurate and detailed because I was sitting so far back that I couldn't actually see the details from where I was sitting, and I wanted the painting to be reminiscent of where I was in that moment. So I didn't want it to be hyper detailed and accurate because I wanted it to still look like and feel like you're sitting at the very end of St. Mark's Square looking over the Basilica. But I really can't encourage artists, especially beginning artists, enough to go out and paint the world around you rather than just painting at your desk. I mean, it is nice to be able to paint in your comfort zone and have all of your materials, but for me, at least, when I go somewhere, especially if I'm going somewhere special or somewhere on a vacation, being able to go and paint and take a few hours out of my day to just sit there and have to study in detail whatever I'm painting, it's really, really cool, and it's a really great way for me to take in a place, I guess, in greater depth than I normally would. And it's nice to not be able to, or it's nice to be able to sit somewhere and not be running from one attraction to another, and I don't know, I like it. And then of course, like, people like to watch you paint and they say nice things to you. At least that's been my experience. But I really enjoy, like, bringing home these painted souvenirs too. I think that's really cool. So that's about it for this painting. I'm wrapping it up right now. Like I said, this is not my favorite of the paintings that I made, but I did take the time to film it, so I thought I would make a video for myself to remember what it looked like forever, because I don't know if I'm going to frame it. But I do know this is not 100% what St. Mark's looks like, but I really enjoyed making this painting, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint. If you like this painting, please like and subscribe. I try and post a new painting each week. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.